Hi Year 4, it's Friday, so it's time for Friday for Phonics. Before we start the video, can you make sure that you've got a pencil and some paper or a notebook and maybe some other pencils and pens and a place to write, because we're going to do lots of work in the video today, practicing, and you need to have plenty to write with and make sure. Remember, you can pause the video at any time. There are some resources on Google Classroom for you to use at the end of the video, but quite a lot of the work will be involved in this video itself. Okay, so do you remember last time we were working, we were looking at the or phoneme spelt in different ways, and this week is the last week of looking at the or phoneme. The reason we're doing this is we want you to be able to read and spell these words straight away without thinking about them. Now, if you remember last week, we looked at the grapheme AU, like in sauce, and AW, like in strawberry. And the week before, we looked at the or phoneme made with ORE, like in core, double OR, like in door, and OR on its own, like in fork. But today we are looking at the phoneme or spelt with AR, ALL and AL. Let's have a look. Look at this picture, like in quarter, talk and wall. Now, wall is a bit of a tricky one and we'll come back to that later. So let's just start with AR. Now, normally the AR grapheme makes the R sound, like in car and bar. But on this occasion, the grapheme AR has the OR sound. This is really tricky. I want you to pause the video and have a look at the pictures and see if you can work out what they are. And I've given you a clue with that first one, quarter. Did you work them out? I bet you did, but there are some tricky ones. Let's have a quick look. These are soldiers. What could that be? Well, they are in a film about the Second World War. War. And war has that OR sound that is spelt where AR. This is a picture of some feet in front of a fire. What could that be? I bet you've worked it out. Yes, these feet are nice and warm. Warm. Can you hear how that OR sound would trick us into spelling warm, W-O-R-M? But if we did, that would say worm. We wouldn't want that. My feet are nice and warm. No. So we want that AR for a grapheme to make that OR sound for warm. These look like trophies. What could they be? Well, that's because there are awards. Awards. And these words are all quite similar. We've got this lady here who's putting a ticket on a car. She's a traffic warden. And then this is inside a hospital. And where a hospital has a number of beds in different areas, they're called wards, a hospital ward. And then we've got the picture that we had at the very beginning, which is a picture of a pie, and it's been cut into a quarter. Quarter. And alongside quarter, we've got this. Do you know what it is? I really like this. It's called rose quartz. Now, what I'd like you to do is pause the video and have a little go at having a spelling. Have you ever go at spelling these words? Just write them down, jot them how you think. But remember, the OR sound in all of these words is spelt with AR. How did you get on? Well, let's have a look. This is how you spell quarter. This is how you spell warm and war, awards, hospital ward, and traffic warden. And then this one, quartz. Remember, that sound at the beginning is qu, and that's always spent Q and U. Quartz. Look at that T and Z at the end to make that S sound. So now we've got clarity about how we spell these words, we're going to have a go at something called dictation. I'm going to give you some sentences And I am going to read the sentences out, and I want you to try and write them down. Now, what I want you to remember is the punctuation and thinking about the sentence construction. But remember, all of the words have got that AR grapheme for the word, for the sound, sorry, or. So let's have a go at the first one. The first one, the sentence is, the man came towards the warm fire and warmed his cold hands. I'll say that again very slowly, and I'll break it down into bits. The man came towards the warm fire. The man came towards the warm fire and warmed his cold hands. And warmed his cold hands. So you can always rewind the video anytime to listen again, but I want you to have a look at that sentence now you've written it down. Have you remembered where the punctuation goes in that sentence? Okay, and let's have a look. Let's look at that. The man came towards the warm fire and warmed his cold hands. Look at that sentence now. Can you see the word towards? That was a bit of a tricky one because I put that in because that's also got that or sound, but we spell A-R-D for there. The man came towards the warm fire and warmed his cold hands. Very good. Let's try the next one. Now this is a little bit trickier. Pam cut the pizza into quarters. Pam cut the pizza into quarters. Then shared the pieces between the 4 traffic wardens. That's a very long sentence. Pam cut the pizza into quarters, then shared the pieces between 4 traffic wardens. That's a long sentence. And then you've got the conjunction there, then. So let's have a look. Pam, yes, Pam is a name. Pam cut the pizza into quarters. Quarters would mean there were 4 pieces. Then shared the pieces between 4 traffic wardens. Each traffic warden got a quarter there. Have a look. That was probably the word that may have caused you some problems. Sorry, pieces. 4 traffic wardens. And have you noticed there in the sentence, when we write the number 4, we write it as a word. So it's written like that. And yes, you're right. I've put my full stop at the end. So let's try the next one. This is very nice. Rose quartz is a lovely pale pink colour. Rose quartz is a lovely pale pink colour. Have you had a go? Let's look at mine. Rose quartz is a lovely pale pink colour. And finally, the war film won lots of awards for the costumes. The war film won lots of awards for the costumes. There we are. The war film won lots of awards for the costumes. How did you get on with those? It's good to do a dictation sometimes because it makes you think of the spellings of the words and what the sentence should look like. And this is just a change from what we sometimes do in these lessons. So all of those words, and there are quite a few more, so look them up, see if you can find any more. But remember, if you're looking for more words with the AR, check when you read them, does the sound, is the phoneme or is it R? This is the way we can start sorting them out in our head. So for example, towards has that or sound but is spelt with an AR. Okay, let's move on. All of the words here have the ALK grapheme, but they all say or. Let's have a look. Just stop the video and have a look to see if you can work out what the pictures are. Have you worked them all out? I bet you have. This is a beanstalk. This is talk. This is stalk. This is stalking. An animal stalking. This big cat is stalking these animals ready to pounce. This is a chalkboard. This is chalk. And this is a lady walking. So have a, you know the procedure. Have a go at writing all of those words down. See if you can spell them and see if you can work them out. Let's have a look and compare. So, beanstalk, you know the story, Jack and the Beanstalk. Having a talk or talking, listen to the sound. It's or, but it's spelled ALK. This is a chalkboard, and this is the chalk that goes with it. Chalk. Can you hear that or? This lady is taking her dog for a, yes, walk. And this is a tricky one because this is a bit like beanstalk. This part can be called the stem or the stalk of a flower. And this one, to stalk something, is to follow it round, okay? Keeping your eyes on it all the time. And in this case, this, as I say, the big cat is stalking its prey. Okay, so now we've got these spellings with that or sound, we're going to have a dictation activity again. So practice the ALK in those words, try and remember them, and then I'm going to read out some sentences, and just like before, you're going to have a go. So, the teacher used the chalkboard in the lesson. The teacher used the chalkboard in the lesson. Let's look at that first sentence. The teacher used the chalkboard in the lesson. Look at the spelling of chalkboard. Did you get it right? The next one. The children like to use chalk on the playground to make patterns. Let's have a look at that. The children liked to use chalk on the playground to make patterns. The word chalk. If you want to, you can have a go at making your own sentences, but I think this is quite a good way of seeing if you can remember the spellings. Next one. Poppy talked and talked until she had no voice. Poppy talked and talked until she had no voice. That sounds like Miss Maybury. There we are. Oh, no voice left in the sentence. How did you get on with talked and talked? I hope you spell ED endings. Now you might think, oh, Miss Maybury, I know about talk past, but lots of us make silly mistakes when we're writing quickly. So this is all about checking through all the time to make sure that you know what you're looking for. ED endings, full stops, capital letters. Poppy needs a capital letter because it's a name and also it's the beginning of the sentence in this case. Okay, it's really important. And remember, check it through and make sure that you've got good ascenders or descenders and your capital letter is bigger than the rest of your letters. This is me nagging you all now. Next. Now, we couldn't have a sentence without with Orkin without talking about Jack. Jack climbed the beanstalk until he reached the top. It's true. That's what he did. Have a go. Jack climbed the beanstalk until he reached the top. There we are. Jack climbed. Now, did you remember that silent B in climbed? Up the beanstalk until he reached the top. Quite often children put in an extra L for until. Did you remember it was only one? Very good. So now we've practiced our spelling ALK for that or sound, or. Finally, we've got this one. Now this one's a bit tricky because technically it isn't an or sound, but quite often, depending on where you live in the country and in our part of the world, lots of people make that sound or for these words like wall and ball and small. It should be wall, ball and small to make it easier. But it's tricky because lots you will hear around wall, ball, small. So for that reason, I've included it so that you get in your head the spelling of it, okay? Just a little reminder, these ones are the easiest ones. So have a look at the pictures. I'm going to really rush through this because they're really straightforward, but you do hear that. So it's sometimes important just to check that you do know the spellings. Okay, so that's a small dog, that's a tall building, that's a wall, that's a ball, and that's a girl who's had a fall. Can you hear that? It is fall, but sometimes you might hear it as fall. So let's have a quick go at this. I'm putting some extra bits into this sentence to make it a bit trickier. Okay, you try and work out what kind of sentence it is, and also bearing in mind that you've already done some adverbials, I want you to think about whether I've used any adverbials in my sentences, okay? Also, I want you to think about the parts of my sentence and where the punctuation should go. This is building on the things you've done with Miss Woodward last week and this week. Okay, listen to this. Noisily, the small dog jumped at the tall man, barking and yapping. I'll say it again. Noisily, the small dog jumped at the tall man, barking and yapping. Have you worked it out? Let's have a little look. Look at my punctuation as well. Noisily, that's how the dog made a lot of noise. The dog jumped at the tall man, and what was the dog doing? Barking and yapping. Have a little work out whether you know how you would describe that sentence, and also where my punctuation goes. Let's try the next one. Because the wall was tall, they couldn't reach the top. Because the wall was tall, they couldn't reach the top. There we are. Because the wall was tall, they couldn't reach the top. Why couldn't they reach the top? Because the wall was tall. And this sentence, they couldn't reach the top, would make sense on its own, wouldn't it? But because the wall was tall, on its own doesn't make any sense. Because this word, because, is related to the rest of the sentence. Oh, and the last one is, what is the tallest building in the world? What is the tallest building in the world? Have a go at writing that. There we are. And remember, yes, it's a question. What? So it has to have a question mark. These are basic things, Year 4, that you really need to do them automatically now in all your writing. This is why we practice this. Okay, so let's just have a look. On Google Classroom, there are these pictures on a sheet. You can choose how you would go about this. You can think about using what I call a graphene grid. Oh, let's come back to that. This is a graphene grid. You've done one of these before. And what's quite a good idea is to make a graphene grid, and you could jot one down now, of these different spellings, and then either write the words in, or you could cut the pictures out. You can make a graphene grid and write in all the graphemes, and we'll come to the activities later, but I just want to give you an idea if you could have a go at that now. Can you see how I've sorted the words and I'm making them so I'm thinking about the different spellings. The reason we do all of these things is to make you think about the different spellings, so that you're really trying to get this organisation so that it becomes automatic. I'm just going to go back to this, and I want you to see if you can spell out of context some of these words. On this occasion, all you need to do is to have a go at writing, telling me the spelling. Now, you can do this in lots of different ways. You can jot them down. You can have a go at spelling them out for me. Okay, so let's read this first sentence. I think that rose something is very pretty. What word is going to go there? Yes, it's rose quartz. Can you spell quartz? You can either write that down, or you can actually say it out loud for yourself now. So rose quartz. Should we have a look at rose quartz? There we are. I'm going to just put it there so we can see them. Rose quartz. Did you spell it correctly? Good. Peter plays something with his friends on Saturday morning. Peter plays football. Football. Can you hear? It sounds like an or. Let's have a look. Football. Did you spell it correctly? I hope you did. The traffic something put a ticket on my car because my permit had dropped to the ground. That's exactly what happened to me a few weeks ago. I got a ticket because my permit had fallen off. The traffic, yes, it's warden. There she is. Do you spell warden like that? Now, this one, The Longest Day, it's a really good film, is a film about the Second World, write the word war, or say it, or spell it. There we are, Second World War. There is a fairy story called Jack and the Beanstalk. Go on, have a go. There it is, Beanstalk. Either write it, say it, or try and spell it out loud. Bean. Bean is also tricky because is it a double E or an E-A-N? So Beanstalk. I love the something on the playground, colourful pictures. I love chalking. Have a go at spelling that. A log fire, something the room. What could that be? Well, there we go. It's warms. There we are. Warms. It is very rude to something when someone else is something. What could that be? Well, it's very rude to talk when someone else is talking. Can you spell talk and talking for me? Either jot it down or say it out loud. Talk, yes. And talking, brilliant. Well done. So we've got spelling in context and spelling out of context now. So let's go on to the activities. These are on Google Classroom, but it's up to you. We've done quite a lot of practicing already today. So what I want you to do is, you've got a kind of range of things to do. You can use this and just do the normal thing, which is to write underneath it, or you could do it slightly differently and make yourself the Graphene Grid that I showed earlier, and then you could cut the pictures out, or you can make your own little if you like, dictionary of all sounds by cutting the pictures out and drawing them or writing them out. Really don't mind. Have a go, practice, or you can write sentences. You use the time to really practice these words and sort them out. The other thing I'm thinking, you could do this on a big sheet of paper. This is the one thing I'd like you to do perhaps during the week. You don't necessarily have to do that today as well as the other activity, is to make and I've put this on Google Classroom. Now let's just look at this for a second. This is a grapheme grid of all the OR phonemes. Do you remember all the spellings? These are the ones that we've done today, A-R-A-L-N-A-L-L. Then these are the ones here that we did last week, A-U and A-W. And then these are the ones we did the week before, double O-R, O-R and O-R-E. And the reason I've put this for you, and I think this would be a really good idea, is to give you a grapheme grid of all the OR sounds where you sort all the words out. Now, this is something I think it would be worth having a go at and adding to over the next few days or even for longer. If you have this, print this off, or you could draw it out yourself. You've then got your own sort of mini dictionary of the graphemes for the OR sound, and it's a way of sorting them and getting them in your head to think all these different ways are they automatically, and then test yourself. It's a really good way of doing things. Okay, so that's something you that's there as an optional, but is a really good idea to do to help you get sorted with your spellings, especially if you know spelling is a little bit of a weakness. Okay. The other thing that is on Google Classroom is I've made a sheet with all the handwriting of these 3 spellings, okay? You don't have, again, this is not something you have to do today, though you can do it today if you want to. It's the AR for spellings, so practice those, and the ALK, and there's a sheet there where you can practice any of the sounds that you like. But I want you to think about, remember, ascenders and descenders. Also, if you can't print, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is that you look at the shapes of the letters and you practice on either plain paper or if you've got lined paper, remembering, and this is the thing also, we're making sure is really good quality in year 4, ascenders, like the tall letters, and the descenders, the ones that come down. There's only F on there that's a descender. Let's have a look. Quartz is a descender, has a Q. Can you see how it comes down? It doesn't flick like across there, making it look like an A. And there's our ascender with your award, the word award. Okay, this is a nice one. Nice high letters there, going up to the next line. And when you write out your words, really look at them and check that they are even and they've got nice tall lines, or they drop down well. Okay, so you've got loads to do, but you've done a lot today already with the practicing. Remember that this is an activity that will take you into next week if you want. Fill it in over, you could draw it out, you could do it on a big sheet of paper if you want, or have it in your book. It's completely up to you. This activity is about learning all of those sounds from the last 3 weeks. You've got a sheet there, but you can just look at it on Google Classroom, or you can have a go at drawing the pictures and making the sounds, or you can print it off and do it, or you could use a mini graphene grid, which is a graphene grid of just the sounds we've done today. Remember, or you can have a go at writing some sentences. It's completely up to you. I want it a little bit open-ended there, but there's plenty to do. Okay. So it's lovely to see you. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.